It's Jordan Mulligan from the Mulligan Brothers, and today's interview highlight is with Adam Bishop, talking about winning at all costs. Before we get started, I want to do a massive shout out to mulliganbrothers.com, who help make these videos possible. The link for these t-shirts is in the description, and you can also buy the Not a Journal. Before that, let's jump into the video.
We spoke about this before, about like sort of the marketability. Someone like Michael was like, he had that for sure, but like the thing that he really had to get those titles was that sort of mindset that he had. Do you have that mind? You know, that mindset, that win at all costs.
Yeah. I think I've now, in the most recent couple of years, I've more developed it than I was. I don't think before I wanted to win every time I went onto a rugby field because I was used to it. And then when I came into strongman, it kind of maybe backed off a little bit because I was still novice to it. But now I've got to a point where I'm at the top of my game. Yeah, I want to win every time I compete. You know, it's not about settling for kind of second best, and you know that's something that I've actually developed. So it's not. I don't necessarily think it's something you're kind of born with the whole time, especially if you switch sports. I think you do develop it when your sporting prowess improves as well.
Would you call it an obsession?
Yeah, 100%. It's an obsession. My whole life revolves around strongman. Absolutely everything I do. You know, to the point where when I'm moving house, I'm picking out a house that is going to be able to put a gym in that I can train. Who does that? Like, people look at like schools or what the neighbourhood's like. I was just looking at a space with a double garage so I could put a gym in, you know, and everything in terms of, you know, all my purchases and stuff, you know, is always focused towards strongman. I don't go out and party. I don't play computer games. It's all everything towards being the best at my sport.
So being selfish, usually people think of like a selfishness to not sort of do anything for other people, but I feel that what you're doing by your actions is inspiring other people. Is there another sort of level to it where you are thinking about that kind of, you know, inspiring people, putting your best foot forward for other people, leaving sort of a legacy and a foundation for other people as well?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of myself as something that people look up to. In all honesty, I'm just a guy competing and doing what I love and being paid to do it, which is fantastic. It's only more recently that I've actually spoken to the fans and interacted with them more that I realised that it's a bit more of a big deal than I originally thought. So I just try every time I kind of chat to people to make sure I'm polite, you know, and I talk to them and they have a good interaction with me. You know, I never thought about being a good role model. I just live my life, and if I'm a good role model of someone, then that's brilliant. You know, I'm just 100% genuine. I'm not going to change who I am to try and live up to what someone's expectation might be. But you know, it's working so far. I think people kind of respect what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, more importantly. And yeah, long may it continue.
Just on the dedication thing as well, just the eating thing, we were talking about eating. Would you just talk us through sort of like getting to the point where you are force feeding it, like that sort of like where that dedication comes into it as well?
I guess this is where I probably kind of connect to a lot more of the public than some of the strongmen out there. I think of myself as a normal guy. You know, I'm not 6'8". You know, I'm not naturally walking around at 400 pounds. If I didn't force feed, I'd probably drop back to kind of 17 stone. You know, maybe like 110 kilo or something like that. But you know, I have to kind of work hard on all my training and my nutrition, and to the point where, yeah, my last meal that I'm kind of putting in, I'm just sitting there for ages trying to force it down to make sure I get every last bit of nutrition I can to make sure I'm pushing my body weight up so that I'm competitive on certain events. You know, it's hugely important. And if I skip a meal, I'll lose weight. I know that and I think that, so I make sure I never skip a meal. Whether that's, you know, just a quick shake or whether it's a full sit down kind of steak, rice, veg. You know, I try and make sure I never miss those meals because I know it's going to impact me down the line. But yeah, it's not fun. And once again, I'm fortunate that my partner Amy kind of understands that, and she can just go off and clean the kitchen and stuff while I'm just sitting there trying to chow down my last meal at like 9 o'clock.
I mean, that's a wicked block to have in. If I skip a meal, I'll lose weight.
Yeah.
Like, is that the case, or have you implemented that's going to happen, or?
No, it will happen. Yeah, because most of my meals are around 1,000 calories. So you know, at the moment I'm having kind of just under 7,000, 6,800 calories at the moment. So if I suddenly drop to 5,800, it's huge. And we couldn't work, myself and my nutritionist, we couldn't work out why that was. So we actually got my kind of basal metabolic rate tested So I got hooked up to a spirometer and I stayed perfectly still, and they measured how many calories I'll burn in a day if I just stay completely still. So this is just without any exercise or anything like that. It turns out I'll burn 2,803 calories if I stay still. So every time I'm eating, I'm going to get to that level first, and then I've got to eat the calories that I burn off from moving, and then I've got to eat the calories that are actually then going to grow the muscle. So it's a constant battle with food, trying to make sure that I get the calories in. And when you're having kind of 1,000-calorie meals, you miss one, that's a sixth of your diet gone. Suddenly you're going to be dropping weight.
So one of the other things that you used to do as a career was you was a sports, what's it called?
Strength and
conditioning coach. Sorry, went on my head. Strength and conditioning coach. With that, like I used to have a strength and conditioning coach. He's a really intelligent guy, and he was like really minute on every detail. Is that something you've carried through, sort of? And also with that, like how important is it for athletes, especially, just to have a basic understanding of their body?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's one of my big advantages, is the fact that I've been a coach for a long, long time. I've always been my coach as well. I've coached myself, I've programmed myself, and I'll plan out my training for World's Strongest Man as soon as World's Strongest Man the previous year is done. So my training cycle started as soon as World's Strongest Man finishes. I literally sit there in my hotel room and plan out my training. I know exactly what I need to be doing and what weights I need to be hitting before those competitions. And yes, there's some guesswork. I don't know when competition dates are. But once they get sorted, then I stick to plan. And I think that's one of the most important things with strength training, is sticking to a plan and not deviating from that plan. And that's one of the things that I've developed over the years working with rugby players, is making sure everything's the same, everything's efficient. There's no kind of wasted energy, because we've only got a limited amount of time you can train. You've only got a limited amount of big lifts in your lifetime, so make sure you're doing it at the right time is hugely important.
Planning for success as well, like just normal. Do you think that's important?
Definitely. You need to, not just planning for success. It's easy to go, I want to deadlift 502 kilos, but you have to also know, okay, in next year I need to be able to deadlift X amount. This session I need to be able to deadlift X amount. Break it down that way. So it's like I said, it's like building a ladder. Okay, if you build a ladder without any rungs, it's just two poles, you're not going up in the air. Okay, but each rung on that ladder is a step that you need to know to be able to climb up to that goal you've got, which is hugely important, because if you don't, then you're always going to be kind of just trying to jump and reach as opposed to climbing.
So usually, like at the end for sound bites, we'll usually do like I'll give you a word, and you just whatever comes to mind with a word.
Association.
Yeah, but it's not.
Are we drinking while doing this?
It's really cheap way of doing the interview, but it works quite well actually. But it's not like a quick fire thing. Like it is just like whatever comes to your mind. So the first one will be dedication.
Yeah, it's a given. Dedication's a given in anything you do. It's if you're not dedicated, you won't achieve anything. So I think dedication is not. It's not something that you can choose to or not to. If you want to achieve your goals, you have to be dedicated. It's like a non-negotiable.
I think a lot of people struggle with this one when it comes to success, and loads of people I think fail at this point. Consistency.
Yeah, 100%. Consistency for me is the be all and end all. I mean, you have to be consistent. In my field, consistency means making sure I eat all my meals. It means that I have every single session done. It means that every single lift looks exactly the same that I do, And without that consistency, then you're not going to improve. Whether that's improving your technique on the deadlift, if you're not consistent with your reps, how are you ever going to make it better? And it's fine being great for one day. Well, you've got 365 days in a year. If you are great in all those days, you're going to improve massively. Everyone needs to look at it as 365 chances to improve every single year, and make sure they're small. It could be a tiny little 1% increase, 1% improvement, but if you do that all the time, then it's a huge amount of improvement, and it all adds up.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, big for me, but sacrifice sometimes gets a negative rap, like you're giving up stuff that you really want. Well, for me, I give up stuff because my want and desire to achieve my goal of winning World's Strongest Man is bigger than my want to do the things that I'm sacrificing. So for me, it's a very easy choice.
Pain.
Normality, really. I mean, for strongman, if you're not in pain at some point, you're probably doing it wrong. We put ourselves under huge amounts of stress. strain for, you know, for what really? For a trophy at the end of the day, but for more for the, obviously for our personal goal, not really financial, but pain's part and parcel of success in my opinion.
So for you, this is for you then, obsession.
I like to call it a healthy obsession. Once again, obsession gets a negative rap, but obsession for me is just 100% focused towards the thing you're working towards. You know, if you are obsessed with it, then you're gonna be completely focused on it, which makes perfect sense to me.
World's strongest man.
The ultimate goal. You know, there's a lot of guys competing every year. 25 to 30 guys compete for that title, and it's the ultimate goal. It's what we're all fighting for, trying to climb over each other to achieve. You know, and it's all friendly backstage, but ultimately we want to win that title.
And there you go, an amazing look into Adam Bishop's mindset. I'm a huge fan of Adam Bishop. Obviously, shooting the Stoltman Brothers documentary, we see Adam a lot personally, and he has a fantastic mindset for the sport and the sport of strongman, and just as an athlete in general, so I'm always interested to hear more from him. If you want to see him, go follow him on Instagram. This video was brought to you by mulliganbrothers.com, where you can now buy the LFG t-shirts, the Inspire Change t-shirts, Hardest Work in the Room t-shirts. Also, the Not a Journal journal is linked down below. All of the proceeds from that help create these videos and more projects like this. If you want to hear more from me, go to Jordan Mulligan Brother on Instagram, and I will say hello. See you in the next one. Peace.